The unfinished funeral. The first time Old Man Grayson appeared, no one believed it. It happened at dusk, just as the last of the sun dipped below the hills. Young Henry Wilkes had been closing up his father's general store when he saw the figure. A hunched old man in a tattered black suit, standing in the middle of the dirt road. His eyes were pale, his skin gray as if the life had been drained from it. "Boy," the man rasped, his voice thin as wind through dry leaves. "Where's my grave?" Henry froze. He knew that face. Everyone in town did. Old Man Grayson had died a week ago. Henry dropped his basket and ran. Whispers of the dead. By morning, the whole town of Miller's Hollow had heard the story. "Henry's just telling tales," scoffed Mr. Dunley, the town blacksmith. "A trick of the light, that's all." But then Mrs. Henshaw, the seamstress, swore she saw him too, standing outside her window, staring in with those empty eyes. And then Pastor Elijah found deep footprints in the graveyard, leading straight to the empty plot where Old Man Grayson was supposed to be buried. Something was wrong. A funeral without a resting place. It didn't take long for the town to piece it together. Old Man Grayson had died alone, with no family left to claim him. The town, not wanting to pay for a proper burial, had simply placed his coffin in the church cellar, meaning to handle it eventually. But eventually never came. And now, it seemed, the dead had come back to demand what was his. The haunting begins. The sightings grew worse. Sarah, the baker's daughter, awoke one night to find her room filled with the stench of damp earth. The sound of dragging footsteps echoed outside her door. At the tavern, glasses shattered on their own. Cold gusts swept through the streets, carrying whispers no one wanted to hear. And each night, the same voice murmured through the wind. "Where's my grave?" The town grew uneasy. People stopped going out after dark. They spoke in hushed tones, glancing over their shoulders, afraid of the shadow that might be watching. Pastor Elijah finally gathered the town council. "This is our doing," he admitted. "We denied him his final rest, and now his soul lingers." "But what do we do?" Mr. Dunley asked. "Bury him now?" Pastor Elijah shook his head. "It may not be that simple. Spirits do not forget an insult so easily." The restless spirit. That night, Henry dared to go back to the church cellar. The wooden coffin sat there just as they had left it, covered in dust and forgotten prayers. But something was different now. The lid was open, and the coffin was empty. Henry barely made it out before the whisper came again, so close it sent shivers down his spine. "Where's my grave?" He ran straight to Pastor Elijah's house. "We have to do something," Henry panted. "He's not in his coffin anymore." The pastor's face grew pale. "Then he walks among us." The price of disrespect. The town gathered by the graveyard, lanterns flickering against the wind. They had dug a proper grave this time, deep, lined with smooth stones, a headstone placed at the top. Grayson, it read. No first name, no loving words. Just a name. The coffin was carried out, but before they could lower it, the air grew colder. A shadow moved at the edge of the lantern light. A figure stepped forward. Old Man Grayson. But this time, he wasn't just a ghostly sighting. He was there, real as bone, his hollow eyes watching them. The air crackled with something unnatural. "You left me to rot," he said, voice heavy with something beyond anger. "Tossed aside like garbage." The people trembled. "It wasn't right," Pastor Elijah admitted, stepping forward. "And we are here to make it right now." For a long moment, the ghost simply stared at them. Then he looked at the grave, the waiting earth. The wind died. The night grew still. Finally, Grayson gave a slow, stiff nod. They lowered the coffin. The moment the first shovelful of dirt hit the lid, the figure of Old Man Grayson flickered, like a candle guttering in the wind. And then, he was gone. The lesson of the Hollow. The town of Miller's Hollow never forgot what had happened. The next time someone died, they were buried immediately with prayers and care. No one was left to linger. No one was forgotten. And though Old Man Grayson never appeared again, some say, on quiet nights, when the wind moves through the trees just right, you can still hear a whisper in the air. Respect the dead.